Welcome, movie fans. Thanks for joining us for episode 98 of Reading Between the Reels. If you're a new listener, we're so glad you found us. And if you've been enjoying the show, please subscribe and tell someone about us. Post on X or Facebook, write an iTunes review, or just recommend the show to a friend. I'm Craig Dickinson, and today on the show, I'll be sharing the second in a series of Star Wars conversations featuring my English classes and some very special guests. If you missed our last episode featuring Jeff McGee and Din from F105, we encourage you to check that out as well. But this episode features Dan Zehr from Coffee with Kenobi and Ross Hollebon from the album Cockpit Podcast.
Why do you think a lot of girls find Anakin very attractive?
Oh boy, I don't know if I'm qualified to answer this one. He's got that boy band hunkiness, doesn't he?
Thank you.
What is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Well, I used to say The Empire Strikes Back, but now I think it's the original Star Wars. Now, is it more dated with the special effects? Of course, but I think it sets up so much of the mythology. It's a really smart way to construct a narrative that tells you a lot you need to know about the characters without wasting any time or any moment. And it also helps to earn the emotion that you garner from watching and experiencing the film. Plus, the visuals were so, I'm sure Mr. Dickinson has told you repeatedly, the visuals and the music and everything about it was just so groundbreaking. It was like, it's hard to imagine anything before Star Wars, but there actually was, and it made such a big impact on everybody.
In Attack of the Clones, what do you think of the way Jar Jar is portrayed in this film?
Oh, well, Attack of the Clones, he's not in it too much, is he? But I think that it's kind of cool that he grows up and matures a little bit. He's a little less silly like he is in the first film. But I think it's kind of cool to see his evolution and growth. And I've always found him, I don't know how you feel, Bud, but I always found him to be a really fun character that you need to add a little bit of lightheartedness into a really heavy movie full of a lot of themes that are much more adult than many people realize. What do you think?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, if you did, what do you think you might say?
That it's cool to see him mature throughout the films.
I agree. See, I knew you knew.
So in the Clone Wars, Anakin gets a Padawan, and she calls him Master. But in Revenge of the Sith, he hasn't been like officially a master. So why does she call him Master?
No, that's actually a really good question that a lot of people have talked about. A master just means a teacher, but it also means an actual title to be on the Jedi Council. So while the names are the same, they have different meanings in different contexts. So he's not necessarily a Jedi Master, but he is her master as far as her instructor and her guide through life.
Okay.
What is the significance of a lifesaver? Why not a blaster?
Well, I like that too. Well, I think a lightsaber, when George Lucas first created it, he used to joke and call them laser swords, based on old iconography of weaponry and different things in mythology. But it's sort of reminiscent of the Arthurian legend and swords themselves. Sword, the symbol of a sword with the hilt is actually a cross, which was not an accident. That was done during the Crusades, during the Holy Wars, which that seems weird to put holy in wars in the same sense, but that's kind of the impetus. So a Jedi is reminiscent of the great classic archetype of what it means to be a knight. So a sword or a lightsaber is much more of a personal weapon than a blaster. You could fire a blaster at somebody from, quite far away, whereas a lightsaber, you have to get up close and personal to the person you are fighting. So that sometimes might imply more of a personal connection. If you have a personal connection through conflict, then you've got a much, much richer narrative and a much more personal narrative that creates emotion. And I think it makes us much more interested. Plus, they're insanely cool.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any reason why like they stopped making clones and then use stormtroopers instead?
Yeah, they actually cover this quite a bit in the animated series Star Wars: The Bad Batch. But clones age twice as fast as humans, and once they kind of there's a chip in them that causes them to give into Order 66, an inhibitor chip, and that either clones get rid of them or they just kind of go through their expiration date. But clones are more reminiscent of Palpatine, in my opinion, of what the Old Republic was. He wants to start a new regime, so the stormtroopers, while not as well trained, or maybe not always as loyal, they choose to be clone trooper, or they choose to be warriors for Palpatine, as opposed to the clones who pretty much are recruited against their will because of their biochemistry and the organics that create them. So, boy, I sound like a nerd just hearing myself talk. So they have choice. Stormtroopers have choice, but they're also human, and there are many, many more of them. Plus, Palpatine doesn't have to do with the expense of creating clones, and he destroys Kamino anyway, which is the factory where the clones are created. So there is no more factory. They age a lot quicker, and he doesn't have to pay for them. Plus, recruiting stormtroopers helps get him have a foothold on the galaxy because he recruits them and he uses his own propaganda to foster his own army.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
When Anakin destroys the droid ship, was it luck or the Force?
So you're talking about in Phantom Menace, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Force has to be a part of it because he's so strong with the Force that he can't help but help influence his actions. I don't think it would have happened without it. The Force generates your own luck, but so does skill, and Anakin has plenty of both. So even when he has no training of any kind, he's still that powerful, which is why he's such a tempting piece of bait for Palpatine to sink his claws into. So yeah, I think so. Not intentionally, but I definitely think it's a factor.
Okay.
At the end of Return of the Jedi, do you think if Darth Vader had survived, do you think he would have like come back to like being good?
I do. I think he clearly becomes a part of the light side of the Force. And if he had survived, I think it would have been an incredible force for good. But I also think politically, a lot of people wouldn't be so quick to forgive him. And he probably would have a very, very hard time finding a foothold amongst the rest of the galaxy because of the massive amount of pain and suffering he caused. Even his family would have, Luke obviously accepted him. Leia probably would have pretty quickly. I think it would have been really, really hard. It would have led to a really interesting story. That's absolutely for sure. But I think he would have been good. And he would have defied his reputation for a long time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Why is the film called The Phantom Menace?
So the Phantom Menace is called that because Palpatine is a phantom. He's a ghost. He's unknown. People don't know that he exists. They know about Palpatine, but they don't know about Darth Sidious, and he's a menace because he is slowly, parasitically taking over the galaxy and the Republic. So it's the Phantom Menace, although it's not really specifically spelled out, because the unknown force that is pulling all the strings and is the puppet master is this nice old white guy who seems like a really friendly grandfather, but he's actually the devil.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why does Yoda initially hide his identity from Luke?
That's a really good question. I think there are a couple of reasons. I think one, Yoda is testing Luke right away to see what his patience level is like, to see how he's going to react. He knows that because of Yoda's stature that he's probably going to underestimate Yoda, expecting this powerful master. It's almost not unlike in the Old Testament or the New Testament, the Jewish people expect this mighty warrior. They don't expect Jesus to be the Son of God. And I kind of see some similarities there. Not in any way, shape, or form saying that Jesus is Yoda. Don't get me wrong. But that underestimation of what you expect your mighty protector to look like. And I also honestly think Yoda's been there so long, he might be a little slap happy.
What are your thoughts on Anakin being given conflicting assignments by both the Jedi Council and Chancellor Palp?
Did you say Palpatine? That's all right. Did you say conflicting information?
Conflicting assignments.
Oh, conflicting assignments. Yeah, I think that's part of why he has such a hard time knowing which way is up, because people are always, because the nature of war and conflict is such that it causes people to be put in situations that are not healthy or normal. It adds to the sort of the complication of Anakin Skywalker's eventual fall to darkness, because the people he loves and respects don't always seem to have the best interest of the galaxy or him in mind. And the path to evil is full of good choices that you think are good, but they lead to a bad choice. You can't do evil for good, and the Jedi get so stretched thin because of Palpatine's plan that Anakin gets put in a continually bad spot, and then Palpatine uses that so that Anakin doesn't know who to trust, and that is part of the brilliance of the scheme that makes Anakin turn to the dark side.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Why is the Emperor obsessed with Luke taking Darth Vader's place?
See, because, well, Vader, for all of his great power, he's more machine than man, as we learn. So he's not going to be as powerful as Luke Skywalker. So because of the rule of two with the Sith, Palpatine can start over with Luke Skywalker, and he can use Luke. And I think in his mind, he thinks Luke might be more powerful than Vader because Luke is fully human. He's not part of cybernetics and robotics. And then he can just keep his legacy going because he's found a new protege. And the Sith do that for over a millennium. They only have one Sith in existence. When they find somebody they think is better, they get rid of the old model and then get a new one. And so I think that's why.
What is the significance about Anakin and Padme marrying in secret?
So this is one that causes a lot of consternation and confusion. They have to, for one thing, when you actually find real love, that you actually care about the other person more than yourself, it's not something you want to hide. It's something you want to celebrate. They have to. So Anakin right away has to go against the core beliefs he's been raised about being free from attachment. Plus their place in the galaxy, both of them politically and from a power perspective, it causes a lot of problems. So it's significant because Anakin at an early age has to hide who he is. He has to hide what he believes in because the Jedi tell him something else. And that's just sort of planting seeds for later about him having to do dishonest things in the name of justice and in the name of peace for the Jedi. And there's also George's old rule about attachment, and if attachment leads to obsession or jealousy, and that's really what it's about. It's not that you can't have compassion. You're supposed to care and love. But the concern is that if it's not focused and matured, you're going to do something you're going to regret, or your focus is going to be on something less than more. And it's very much like, I keep referring to religion, but I think there's a lot of parallels. It's almost like being a priest, a Catholic priest, where you have love, but you have to focus more on your people than your own needs that are selfish, even though it's not a selfish concept, caring about someone else. So Anakin and Padme's love will be forbidden. Padme will be distracted from being a senator. Anakin will be distracted from the larger galaxy that needs him, as opposed to that of his wife.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks everybody. These are great. Every year, Mr. Dickinson, they get better and better.
Perfect note to end on, my friend.
Yeah,
thanks
so much. My pleasure.
All right, bud. Have a great
Bye.
day.
You too.
Why do you think the Imperial officers are more afraid of the Emperor than Darth Vader?
I think they understand that Vader will sometimes look past certain things to achieve goals that he wants, and the Emperor doesn't care and will just uh, I'll say put them in their place immediately.
Thank you.
Why is Anakin appear younger and Obi-Wan and Yoda appear older when they're ghosts?
You know what? That's funny because when I saw it in the theater, it was the older Anakin at first. So they have changed that. And I think they did it just because Hayden Christensen was so popular and they wanted to have that be the ongoing youthful spirit of what Anakin had.
At the end of episode 3, when they take C-3PO and R2-D2 away, they only erase C-3PO's memory. How come they don't erase R2's?
Because they made a massive mistake.
Oh.
Because they should have done that as well, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
What ultimately caused Anakin to lose Obi-Wan?
I think Anakin with everything, it all was about losing his mother and having that relationship that he couldn't do anything about, but he was put in a tough situation and he never really overcame that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Who do you think that is the strongest Jedi?
I will currently say Luke Skywalker because what he was able to accomplish and grow based off of what all the other Jedi and even the Sith taught him during his journey.
In The Emperor Strikes Back, why do you think Darth Vader is obsessed with finding Luke?
Oh, because he wants, for a Sith, it is the rule of 2, and there can only ever be 2. So the apprentice for each Sith is always looking for the most powerful partner so that they can take over the master. So as the Emperor wanted Luke, Vader wanted him for the same reason, so that they could partner with him to take over the universe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Why do you think Luke is much more confident in the film Return of the Jedi?
Because he's trained and he knows where his friends are. He knows where he belongs, I think, for the first time. And he's had that time to reflect, to meditate, to learn and practice. Repetitions are big, whether it's writing a paper in class or doing a math problem or learning how to use a lightsaber the right way. Practice makes perfect.
Luke and Anakin each are willing to risk oh my goodness,
You're fine. You're good. You're amongst friends here. Take your time and enjoy it. Let me hear that again.
Luke and Anakin are both willing to risk their lives for their friends. Who's more brave?
I think it is. I don't know that there is a more brave. If you're willing to put yourself on the line for someone that you love and care about, that is the ultimate sign of bravery.
Why does Luke finally give in to his anger?
Because we are very emotional beings. I bet everyone in that class, when they're going to get upset about something, right? So yep. that is the course that you look at as, any of us can snap, but that is why meditation is good. That is why taking a step back is always good before action when you can do that.
In Revenge of the Sith, how is Anakin's loss of his mother impacting his current decision making?
I mean, it's everything to him. It is compounding the fact that he's now having Palpatine play the same strings on him about losing Padme. He knows how much it hurt to lose his mom, and he never wants to lose someone important again. So someone took advantage of that weakness, and we get Darth Vader because of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why was it a bad idea to give Anakin the assignment to protect Padme?
I mean, I guess it ended up being a bad idea. They wanted to test him, and he wasn't quite ready for it. And I guess I don't know, if you have classmates that you know are like, oh, they're going to date because they're hanging out together now. That's kind of what the situation was there.
Oh.
What is the significance of Padme being continuously in danger?
Because she was continuously in danger, that always had Anakin on edge. But being a very independent, fierce leader and woman, Padme was awesome because she was always in danger and willing to put her people first instead of her first.
Luke instructed to pass on what he has learned. Why? Who should be his first student?
I think the first Force user that he comes across, because if someone has skills and needs nurturance, you shouldn't pick and choose. It should be, okay, this person can do something better. Let's train them the right way. So I'll say whoever he comes across that needs the tutelage.
Why is the film set a long time ago?
I think just to create that mysticism and that, when this movie came out, no one knew anything about any of it. It's like, ooh, where is this? Where is this? So it's for the audience, and it's for that mystery and the fun, and allowing any of us watching to really enjoy stepping out of reality for a little bit.
In Revenge of the Sith, what are your thoughts on Anakin being given conflicting assignments by both the Jedi Council and the Chancellor Palpatine?
That is, if you are trying to manipulate someone, the first thing you do is try to beat them down and make them question what's coming at them. So the Jedi were doing it for altruistic reasons and what they felt was correct. And Palpatine knew that, oh, you know what? I'm going to wear this guy down. And that's all it was, is just him being manipulative. And that's one of the ways and one of the strengths or, skills that the Sith would always use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when Anakin turned to the dark side, he was saying that he did it for Padme, but when Padme died, why was he still killing people and going to the dark side?
I think he had just he had passed that threshold. And then he started blaming other people for it. So then it's like, well, this is Obi-Wan's fault. I need to go find him. So it is, there may be some narcissistic traits to that and things you just need to watch out for in people sometimes, because if they make up a reason to be upset, they're going to stay upset at things.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a deeper meaning to Mace Windu having a purple lightsaber other than it being his favorite color?
I don't know. Have you heard the story about that at all? With Samuel L. Jackson and George Lucas? Samuel L. Jackson was just like, I really want something different. Like and he was given his opportunity by Lucas, and that's why it happened. So when Padawans find their Kyber crystal to create their lightsaber, he must just be really unique or extra powerful because a purple one called to him in the story of things. So I just think it's interesting, and I'd love to see some other colors pop up in there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What did you think of Count Dooku telling Obi-Wan about the Sith Lord controlling the Senate?
I thought it was masterful, because, and it's unfortunate that Obi-Wan just wouldn't listen to him at all. But it really was Dooku, trying to manipulate in some ways, but also using the truth to say, hey, here's what you're up against. And if you cause doubt in someone's thinking, it's easier to make them think a different way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why does Yoda say that Luke only needs to confront Vader again to become a Jedi?
Because everything Luke learned was restraint, and knowing that it was his father, it was the same thing that Anakin dealt with his mother. It's just like, I want this piece of family. I want this and that here. So to be able to look past a relationship and do the right thing for the greater good, that is what Yoda was testing Luke with.
Thank you.
In the movie Return of the Jedi, why are the Imperial officers more afraid of the Emperor than Darth Vader?
Again, the Emperor is just relentless, and he doesn't care. He'll put someone down in a second. Vader only slightly, he knows that he needs some of these people when he's doing things. So I think that's the biggest difference there.
Okay.
Do you think it's ironic how Anakin treats Padme on Mustafar?
Yeah, I think it's terrible. He's very confused and has been led to believe different things. So maybe it's ironic, but it's more tragic to me than anything else. But if people can be led to believe something that may not be true, but they really believe it, they'll find excuses to believe in that. So I think it is more tragic than ironic, but it wasn't a good thing all the way.
Why can't the Jedi tell who Darth Sidious is?
I think they were spread too thin. And they were going against someone who was so secretive and knew how to hide himself. And he was only answering to him, where the council, and that's even in some of the books and things that are out right now, they were thinking about, okay, we have to do this because of a war. We have to do this to help these people. They were spread too thin and they couldn't focus on the most important task at hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Ross, I want to respect your time, and we got to get moving as well. So I just want to say thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Awesome. Craig, thank you. Hey, everyone. Have a great day. And I know we still have Friday to deal with, but have a great weekend as well. May the force be with you.
Thanks, bud.
See you, buddy.
So as we close, we just want to say thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on X and Facebook. Email us at readingbetweenreels@gmail.com or use the SpeakPipe app on our website. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and tell a friend. And you can support us by writing an iTunes review. One last thing. Our next episode will be the last in our series of conversations between my ELA classes and some very special guests. We hope you'll check it out and let us know what you think.